Hello YouTube and welcome to another video and welcome to my channel, The Art of Perfumery. Today I'm going to bring you a very special video. I'm going to bring you my list of my top 10 favorite releases of the years 2020, 2021 and also 2022. So this video is for you that likes modern contemporary fragrances and we don't know where to start. If you're looking for a nice fragrance, this video is for you. These are the fragrances that I consider some of the best releases of them 3 years. You don't like classic fragrances, you don't like old vintage fragrances, you like brand new, that's the video for you. And I'm not gonna bring these fragrances by the order of the ones I like the most or I don't like the most. I'm gonna bring you by the year. So first I'm gonna present the 2020 and then 2021 and then 2022. Okay, without further ado, let's go right into the list. Let's do it. Okay, starting my list, like I said, from 2020, and my first release would be Le Male Le Parfum. And what can I say about this fragrance? This is a beautiful fragrance, and I believe that Jean Paul Gaultier, the house, hit the bullseye in relation to this fragrance because this is absolutely amazing. First of all, if you like the traditional Le Male, you're gonna love this fragrance because this definitely is a more concentrated version of the traditional Le Male. I'd say this is a denser, it's more concentrated, it's more full body. It's definitely, I would say, a night out Le Male. This is also a bit more elegant as well than the original, but it also has the original DNA. So if you like that typical lavender, you're gonna find it here. If you like the cardamom, you're gonna find it here, but without the fresh components. You're not gonna find mint, you're not gonna find bergamot, because the goal here is actually to achieve a more night out feel with this fragrance. This is also, I'd say, more elegant, it's more polished than the original, especially because this fragrance has a good bit of iris as well that brings that velvety refinement, if you know what I mean. So it's a beautiful fragrance, one of the best releases of the year 2020. I absolutely love this fragrance. Let's go to my next fragrance now. Okay, moving to my second fragrance, also released in 2020, one of the best releases out there. I'm talking about Black Orchid Parfum from the house of Tom Ford, one of my favorite houses of all time. And this fragrance is definitely a boozier version of the original Black Orchid. Definitely a stronger version as well. The original Black Orchid is super strong, but this thing is absolutely beast. So if you like the original, I'm sure you're gonna love this one because this retains most of the original DNA, all of that good stuff. It has that Black Orchid note that makes the first one very famous. It has also the truffle note as well that brings that chocolatey, gourmandish, kind of like slightly animalic vibe to the composition. You find this as well, but also with a very kind of boozy plum note that to me brings this fragrance to the next level. Definitely, this fragrance is one of my top 10 designer fragrances of all time. Beautiful fragrance, is actually one of the best fragrances out there. You have to try this one. So definitely a 10 out of 10 fragrance. Okay, let's move on now to my third release. Okay, moving on now to my third fragrance. This one was released in 2021. I'm talking about Sauvage Elixir from the house of Christian Dior. And what can I say? This fragrance is absolutely gorgeous, not only because of the quality factor of the fragrance, it's a high quality fragrance, but also because of the surprise factor as well, because this fragrance was it was actually one of the biggest surprises amongst all of them brand new releases that I'm showing you now, because this fragrance is so different than the previous flankers. If you get the very cool spray, I'd say it's the original, a bit fresher. If you get the eau de parfum version, I'd say it's the original with a touch of vanilla. If you get the parfum version, it's the original with a touch of incense. But this fragrance is bold, is complex, is different. It plays with your senses. It's very spicy. I get a lot of spices, especially the licorice. I get a lot of licorice. I also get a sweet amber in this fragrance. I get a creamy sandalwood. It's so different. Outstanding performance, outstanding smell. One of the best releases out there coming from the house of Christian Dior. Excellent surprise from the house. Let's move on to my fourth release. Okay, moving on to my fourth release, also from 2021. I bring you Spicebomb Infrared. This is the eau de toilette version. I already done a review. If you didn't watch the review, I'm going to leave a card right here. This is an excellent fragrance. In that review, I actually said that this is one of the best releases of 2021. Hence, this fragrance is doing this video. Absolutely gorgeous. It has the entire DNA of the original Spicebomb, the tobacco, the cinnamon, the pink pepper, the saffron as well, all of that good stuff, but now with a touch of red fruits, especially in the opening, that brings that kind of like sweet syrupy vibe, especially in the opening of the composition. The dry down is quite similar, but I'd say this is more syrupy, it's sweeter, it's more playful than the original. The performance is still amazing, it's still a beast. I can't wait to get my hands on the eau de parfum version. The eau de toilette is amazing. Can you imagine the eau de parfum? Let's see when it comes out. Let's move on now to the fifth release. Moving on now to the fifth release. That one comes from the house of Hermes. This time I'm talking about H24 EDT. What a great fragrance. This is absolutely beautiful, guys. This juice is amazing. This fragrance opens very bright, very citrusy, kind of lemony, very nice, and then it transitions to, I'd say, a metallic vibe, a sharp, sweet, floral, metallic, very nice, very different than most of the freshes you find around there. Very nice, sweet floral. The floral is kind of like come from white flower, come from the narcissus, which is absolutely amazing. This fragrance is actually growing on me. Absolutely fantastic fragrance from the house of Hermes, and with an excellent performance as well. Okay, moving on, also released in 2021. What a year for fragrance releases. This time I'm talking about this beautiful fragrance, Noir Le Parfum from the house of Yves Saint Laurent. Beautiful fragrance. This is definitely the best Y ever released. Absolutely gorgeous. This fragrance made the first place of my most recent top 10 most complimented fragrances that I've done. This thing is a compliment getter, is a head turner. Absolutely beautiful fragrance. I love this fragrance because this is not just that tonka bean fragrance. It has that typical YSL tonka bean that you find in a lot of their fragrances, but this is more than that. It also has that kind of fresh floral, fresh fruity vibe that comes from the two brothers of this fragrance, the eau de toilette and also the eau de parfum. But this is definitely a bit darker. I'd say it's a more night out, grown up version of them two fragrances. So you have that duality. You have that fresh, that fruity, that floral, but you also have that dark tonka as well, which brings this fragrance to the next level. Okay, moving on to the seventh release. This time I'm bringing you Ombré Leather Parfum from the house of Tom Ford. What can I say about this fragrance? This, I have to say, this is the best release of 2021, period. Absolutely gorgeous fragrance. I already reviewed the original Ombré Leather. If you didn't watch the review, I'm gonna leave a card there for you to watch that fragrance. And in that review, I said that that fragrance was a perfect 10 out of 10. The question is, can our already perfect fragrance to become even better? Yes, this is exactly what happened to this fragrance. This fragrance has that same ridiculously realistic leather. It smells like leather, it smells like a saddlery. Still the same, you still have that leather, but now the orris root brings like a floral powderiness, if I'm not destroying the English, but it brings that, I'd say, refinement, the floral refinement, with a touch of almost like an iris vibe to this composition that I would say smooth things down. So if that fragrance was a little bit graspy, this fragrance is now perfect because you have that same realistic saddlery leather, black jacket leather, but now I'd say it's smoother, it's nicer, with the absolute same great performance that you find on the eau de parfum version. You have an even better performance on this one. This thing is amazing, an absolute 10 out of 10, the best release so far of that year. Let's move on to the last fragrance now. Okay, I said last, but still 3 fragrances to go. Let's go to the 8th fragrance. and that comes from the house of Jean Paul Gaultier. Who would ever think that the house of Jean Paul Gaultier would bring such an amazing releases? This time I'm talking about Le Beau Le Parfum that was released, of course, in 2022. This fragrance is absolutely amazing, guys. I've already done a review of this fragrance. I leave a card there if you didn't watch that review. This fragrance, in my opinion, is far superior than the Eau de Toilette version. This version, I'd say, is darker. It's not as sharp as the Eau de Toilette version. It's not as watered down as the Eau de Toilette version. It's darker. Of course, you have that pineapple, the coconut, that's going to bring that tropical, like sunscreen vibe. But it's not only that. This fragrance is also has a darker tonka bean that makes this fragrance a more, I'd say, a more night out fragrance. It also has a touch of refinement as well. Again, following that trend, the iris trend, they add a bit of iris in this fragrance that brings also that powderiness, that brings also that smoothness to this fragrance. So this thing is absolutely addictive. Every time I think of night out, going out with friends, every time I think of, especially like if you're going out on a summer night, even though this is not a summer fragrance, but I only think in summer nights, spring nights, because of the tropical vibe of this fragrance is absolutely amazing. Absolutely great release from the house of Jean Paul Gaultier. Okay, another great release, number 9 now. That one again comes from the house of Tom Ford. I'm talking about Noir Extreme, the Parfum version. What a fragrance now. This fragrance is absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. I wouldn't say that this is a darker or a thicker version compared to the Eau de Parfum version. I would say this is a cleaner version. It's more, it's like a modern version, or more contemporary, as you will, version of the original fragrance. This is thick as well, it's dense, but because it has this addition of the citrus note at the top and also a touch of neroli, it's gonna bring this citrusy vibe. Is going to bring this fresh vibe, almost like a green ozonic vibe in the opening, which I absolutely love. And then you have that duality, because this fragrance is going to get dark, it's going to get dense. It still has that good stuff, the vanilla, the coffee, that's going to bring that gourmand vibe, but it is so nice. Also some precious woods as well in this fragrance. It's absolutely gorgeous, guys. Once upon a time, gourmand fragrances were casual fragrances, but now the gourmand fragrances are coming with such a sophistication. This thing is sophisticated, it's lovely, it's gorgeous, it's almost edible. It has that fresh touch, and then it turns into this almost like a creamy, delicious fragrance. Absolutely gorgeous from the house of Tom Ford. Let's go now for my 10th release. And finally, last but not least, another great release from the year 2022. That one comes from the house of Givenchy. Of course, I'm talking about Gentleman Reserve Privé. And what can I say about this fragrance? This thing is gorgeous. Probably one of the best openings out of all of the fragrances that I presented in this video. Great fragrance, a fragrance that actually copies a very old recipe, but very successful one actually. That was first released with the Dior Homme line. It has that iris that's gonna bring that makeup-y, lipsticky feel to it. But this fragrance actually follows a different path. It gets very nutty. I get a lot of chestnut in this fragrance. I get some syrupy sweetness coming from a lovely amber as well. It's very sticky, very nice. It has a whiskey, chestnut, a lot of woods as well. One of the best, actually the best gentleman out there. Great fragrance, great smell. And I've heard that some people don't get a great performance in this fragrance. I actually get a very good performance with this fragrance. Absolutely gorgeous. Okay, guys, this was my top 10 best releases from the year 2020, 21, and also 22. I absolutely love this fragrance. I tested each and every one of these fragrances. None of them were in the order of the best to the worst, or the worst to the best, because I just love all of them. So if you're looking for a fragrance, I hope this video helped you to find the perfect fragrance release for you. If you like it, don't forget to leave your like, don't forget to subscribe for more videos, and please don't forget that I'm Mark Lacerda, and of course I see you in the next video. Bye!